Welcome back to the Midnight Mystery Archive, and we have reached episode 12, part 2, which is the final part of our Amy Bradley series. And as I mentioned last Friday in episode 12, part 1, I have some very special guests that are joining me for this final portion. I'm joined by Iva and Ron, Amy's parents, and Amy's younger brother, Brad. The three of you, I appreciate you joining me and taking the time to talk this evening.
You're welcome.
You're
Yes.
welcome, and thank you for having us.
So, really, the thing that I want to do is I want to start with this whole series. I've shared it's been a lot of work and a lot of effort, but it's also been a commitment for you guys as well. You guys have really played a pivotal role each and every week. I'll send you a script. You'll send me some revisions or some tweaks that need to be made. I'll send you the final cut of each episode, and you'll say, you might catch something where I said something twice. Brad, you've done that a couple of times. Or I maybe misspoke. And so you've been a very, very pivotal partner in this. And we both come at it from the exact same perspective, which is bringing the fullest true telling of Amy's story to people, separate from what they've seen on TV, but giving it a more well-rounded and thorough telling. And at this point, we've done technically 13 episodes because 12 is 2 parts. We've done multiple eyewitness interviews. We've looked at documents, talked to Greg Nivola about the grand jury. We've talked about Amy's watch that David Carmichael saw on the beach. And before we finish this series, what has it meant for you to have Amy's story told in this depth and why?
Well, Kevin, I can't tell you how much it has meant to me and my parents. And there's really not, an adequate way to express it to you. As you and most anyone else that's followed this story knows, for almost 3 decades, we've worked to keep Amy's story alive and to ensure that the facts surrounding her case are correct and are not forgotten. So, and what makes the series that you've done so meaningful, as I said to you before, is the amount of care, the amount of time you've put into it. I know it's been probably 7 months or more. The commitment that went into telling Amy's story as accurately as you have and with as much compassion as you've shown. It really goes beyond what you see on other series and other interviews, the headlines and the sound bites. And it has really, I think, allowed people to understand what happened to her and why our family continues to search for answers. Every person, I think, listens to this series, obviously can then become another set of eyes and ears. And with renewed awareness, as people continue to share, hopefully, obviously that's going to create opportunities for someone with information to come forward. So what you've done is incredible. I've told you and other friends and family, I've not seen anything like it in 28 years. So, we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts, and thank you so much.
And to add to what Brad has said, it is a tremendous feeling of gratitude to be heard. And you've given us that platform, and that's been really important to us. You've believed us, you've listened to us, you've put it out there, and now it's out there for anybody that listens to know the truth. And that's all we've ever asked for, is just the truth. And we want to thank you also from the bottom of our hearts for all that you've done. And it's taken a tremendous amount of effort on your part, and it doesn't go unnoticed, I promise you.
Well, out of all the things we've done, Kevin, all the interviews and shows that we've done on TV, none of them have ever got it completely right. Some of them have done better than others, but in just about every case, there's something about it that wasn't right. And for us to be able to work with you and get the true story out of how it exactly happened and the witnesses and all the people that you talk to, I mean, that's the biggest thing, biggest takeaway I have.
Well, it's been an honor for me to do it. I've been very appreciative of the opportunity to work alongside you and help you. One of the things that for me is motivating, and I think I've shared this with you, Iva, as a parent myself. 25 years ago, I knew the story, but it didn't hit me the way that it does now. Because now I'm a parent, and it's hard not to see what you all have gone through. And for lack of a better term, be grateful that I haven't had to deal with it. But I think also knowing that your story's been told, Amy's story has been told in so many different ways, and just so much information and context is missing that I see so many different people out there in the internet and in the ether who make snap judgments based on one line from a documentary and develop a truth based off of that. And I really just wanted to see Amy's story be told in a way that is truthful, that is thorough, and that is as complete as possible. And I'm very thankful to you all for letting me do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You've done it.
So, one of the things I told you guys before we even got started with this series was I was going to do something different that candidly most podcasts don't do, that frankly most documentaries don't do, at least to the degree that they should. And that is really get a glimpse into Amy as a person. And I did that in episode 1. You all shared some great memories with me, and Stacy shared some good memories with me as well. I mean, I got so much feedback on that first episode. And to me, the only right way to do this final wrap episode is to talk a little bit about Amy again. And when you think back, each of you, what is your best memory of Amy?
I would have to say one of my best memories is when she was playing in the Dominion District playoffs. She was playing against her arch rival, Mandy, who played the same position Amy did on the other team. And it had gone a couple seasons and they were always battling it out. And we ended up winning the game and cutting the nets down. So that to me is one of the, even though she accomplished a lot of other things, that stands out in my mind.
I mean, I'd have to say basketball in the driveway is what always comes to mind with me. And I can't even imagine how many hours were spent out there, uh, right outside the back door, um, all hours of the day and night under spotlight or whatever it was. The basketball, not only playing with her and against her, but all the time, like Dad spoke of that, we had an entourage of family and grandparents and aunts and cousins, that would all go to her, all of her games, and just really special, uh, watching her play and do her thing. And growing up on the swim team, you and I spoke at some length about that before in one of the prior episodes, but and then as we got older and started hanging out outside of sporting activities, playing pool together, shooting darts, singing karaoke, going out with her friends. Those were obviously some of my favorites, and not to mention. Dad had a nice bass boat back in the day and used to take us all out tubing and kneeboarding and skiing and all that kind of thing. Those were some really special times too.
Well, I can tell you as a mama, I've got the most special memories are our times that we spent together shopping, eating lunch, talking on the phone. I guarantee you there was never a day that passed that we didn't speak one time, much less two. And Brad can tell you the same thing. I call him up and bug him every day just to hear his voice. So one of the best memories of all the best memories is when she was being courted by the different colleges for scholarships for basketball. And then when she made the decision, and it was her decision to go to Longwood to play, and all the preparation of setting her up in the dorm, it was like her own little apartment, all the way down to the curtains and the bath rugs and the shower curtains and the microwave and all the supplies she needed. And before that was the Miata. Since she got the full scholarship, and so somebody else was going to be paying for school, we gifted her a little red convertible Miata. And man, oh man, you talking about somebody that would ride around in that as happy as I've ever seen her. And then you fast forward about going shopping together and cooking together and spending a tremendous amount of time with each other, or really all of us, and then getting her new apartment. I think that was a really, really big highlight. Searching for the apartment, looking at 2 or 3 different places. She made a decision of where she wanted to be. She had Sir Billionaire Bailey Boy, her English Bulldog, moved in, got her all set up. and she was the grown Amy at that point, and just so happy and had 1,000 different things going on, always worked more than one or two jobs, and just a complete joy. So all of our memories, and I can also add this. I have no bad memories of Amy. No arguments, no disagreements. I know people will say, well, that's nearly impossible. But her dad's sitting here and her brother's sitting here. We weren't a family that would argue. We got along, we looked after each other. So all of our memories are good. No regrets.
Yeah, and it's interesting hearing you guys talk about that because obviously you're talking about it from this perspective of family, parent and brother, right? But like I reflect back, I talked to Tom, I talked to Stacy, and one of the things that has really struck me is that if what you were saying wasn't true, I would be able to pick it up with them. And the message has been consistent throughout. And I hope that the day comes when Amy's back with you and I get to meet her myself because the glimpse that I have gotten into the person that she is somebody I want to know. A good, genuine, decent person who treated people with kindness and respect. And the other thing was tough as nails. That's another thing that I've gotten in my conversations with everybody. She was tough.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons I'm hopeful that the day will come where you'll all get to be together again because you got to be tough to endure that for so long.
Yeah, she's tough. I mean, that, like you said, all the things that we're saying, no one's been able to contradict them because, like everything else on this podcast series, it's just simply the truth. I never had a crossword with Amy. She was an incredible sister, and I hesitate part way to use the past tense, but I'm speaking strictly of when she was a part of in our lives. Now, when I say was, because I believe she still is. She was a very loving daughter and sister, a very loyal friend, had a very contagious laugh and a, and a really funny sense of humor. Her personality drew people in. She made people comfortable and feel valued. As we've spoken, about many times, she was one of the most athletic females I've ever known. Independent, full of life, looking forward, to what was to come. And I think it's important that people, when they listen to a podcast series or they hear a news clip or read an article, they're kind of in this true crime mode, and they forget that Amy's not a character in a story. First she was, a daughter and a sister and a friend and a niece and just awesome. She had dreams and plans and a really bright future ahead of her, and unfortunately, that was taken away from her and all of us. So, when you think about Amy, I'd encourage all the listeners to think about your sibling and your daughter and your friend. And this is not just, a character in a story. I know I've said that before, a few times, but I'm hopeful that there's a happy ending to this in any regard. But I would really like for you to get to meet with her and talk to her.
Yeah, it's funny because I think it was Stacy, I think, messaged me, and she said, "You're gonna have to do a second season of 12 episodes, and the capper should be when you get to talk to Amy and do a Witness Wednesday with Amy herself." I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, "If that day comes, sign me up. Tell me when and where, I'll be there."
Well, I wanted to add also, Kevin, when Ron and I were called and told that we had earned the trip, we made the decision at that point, wouldn't it be great if Amy and Brad could go? Well, Brad's in school, Amy's working, everybody's busy. So there was a lot of planning and details that had to be done on their part as well. The shopping, the buying bathing suits, the suntan lotion, the hair appointment, the nail appointment, buying film, getting Bailey lined up to be at the dog den. I'm telling you, Amy wasn't dragging her feet. I know there's been discussion about her father made her go.
Right.
I have to laugh and tell you that he is very independent. And if Amy didn't want to go on this trip, guess what? She wouldn't have gone, but she was extremely excited. No, she doesn't like the sea. I don't think a lot of people are thrilled with the sea. But I do want to let you know that there was no hesitation. It was a time of excitement. It was a trip of a lifetime. It was everybody packing, A lot of buzz going on with what are we going to do? Where are we going? Who's flying? On what flight? I have all of the contents of Amy's luggage. And, when you go through that and you take a look at the care, the outfits, the tops and the shorts and the bathing suits and the formal dress wear and the shoes, all the way down to she carried a dictionary. She had a little notebook with her to keep notes in. This was a trip that our family, we were going on to make lifetime memories. And so people need to realize that you've got to live every moment and you got to be happy and you got to be positive and you got to always look for the best because you never know from one minute to the next what could happen. So when I tell you, Kevin, we have no regrets. Our family has always been very loving all toward us and the extended family and so many plans. And like Brad said, they were temporarily taken because we will never stop looking. And I can tell you the one thing that I do know is the moment that she realized that something was wrong, that her first thought was that she needed to get back to us and she needed to fight. And we believe that's what she's doing today.
Yeah, I do as well. I feel very confident about that, having had the opportunity to learn about her from you guys and from those who are close to her. I have no doubt that there is nothing more that she wants, and the opportunity, when it presents itself, she will take it. There's no question in my mind. When you look back over the last 28 years, you guys have done a lot of shows, a lot of television shows, a lot of interviews. What is one thing that you wish people understood that you don't think has ever come across to them in all of those different formats?
Well, I'm a bottom line it here. When you step foot on a cruise ship and it backs off of the dock 12 miles, there is no law. Cruise lines fly flags of convenience for a purpose. You take your family, you take your most prized jewels on a trip like that. I suppose that we thought we're American citizens. We're protected, we'll be looked after. And I can tell you that Amy was completely failed. There's no laws. There was risk management that went into mode from the moment we announced we couldn't find her. I'd like for people to know that we've got a big, sprawling United States with a lot of places to go. I know personally we will never board another boat, and I know people continue to go. But I want people to know also the truth about if something happens, God help you.
I guess what I would say is, I think most people assume that, after enough time passes, time heals all things, all wounds, and families like ours somehow find closure. The reality is that there's no closure without answers. And, we've lived to learn with the uncertainty, but we've never stopped wondering. Every birthday, every holiday, every time family gets together, friends get together, it reminds us painfully so that Amy should be there. We've spent decades searching for answers and you carry the weight of not knowing what happened. It's, I guess I'd say, despite that pain and the uncertainty, we've never lost hope. And I've said it a bunch of times. Hope is what has allowed us to keep moving forward and staying positive as best we can, and that's why we've never stopped fighting for the truth. But somebody out there knows something, and I'm just hoping against hope that after 28 years, they can find it within themselves to do the right thing. No matter how small what they know might be. It might the thing that that reveals the answers. So I would just everybody's so caught up in trying to worry about the timelines and the stories and the characters, and I think it's most important at this stage to just continue to share her story, share this podcast, talk to your family and friends about her. When you see things that I post online, repost and share those things, because again, I think we're just potentially one person away, from the right person, seeing something that triggers a memory or enough empathy to, finally come forward and say what they know. There's no one in the world that could convince me that there aren't a number of people out there that know what happened. So I would just, ask everybody to help us and stay with us and, stay with Amy and keep on talking about it, keep the story alive. That's all we can ask.
Brad, to add to that, Kevin, you asking the question, what is something that's never been quite captured?
Yeah.
When Ron and I ran to the purser's desk a few minutes after 7, after he had looked for her almost an hour, I can tell you, I told them first thing out of my mouth, someone saw her, someone wanted her, and someone took her. There wasn't any question about any other thing that the public has come up with. We saw the interactions. We saw the people that were around her. We were there. We experienced it. We watched it. So the gut, the intuition immediately was someone saw her, wanted her, and took her. And they looked at me like I had an eyeball in the middle of my forehead. As I'm standing there begging them to back the ship away, the entire story. So there's never been a question based on our lives together as a family as to what happened. And that's one thing that I don't think any of the programs has ever gotten out there correctly. There's never been a question in our mind what happened. Someone saw her, wanted her, and took her.
Yeah, and I can honestly say, I mean, I understand why people think certain things that they think. Had I not lived through this with my parents, I might have similar thoughts about some other case I hear about. But, anything other than what we've been focused on and what we've been telling people, there's nothing to it. I mean, those people God bless them for paying attention and participating, but they're wrong. You know, they're just wrong.
Yeah, and I actually hope a lot of people had a chance to listen to the episode that I did about some of the theories that are out there.
Yeah.
I shared with Carrie last night when I was talking to her. I don't think anybody's done, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot. I don't think anybody's gone through those theories and completely and utterly decimated them and left them in shreds like I did on that episode.
You're right.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no possible scenario of jumping, of accidentally falling, of up and leaving on her own accord. It simply doesn't pass the smell test because each of those types of outcomes have certain identifying realities around them. In Amy's case, doesn't touch any of them. And there's just no two ways about that.
There's so many people, and like Brad said, people, certainly can have their own opinion. But I can tell you that another thing that's never been captured is that night, the time that Brad and Amy were having in the limbo contest, and the music's playing, and people are dancing, and she's getting ready to go into the limbo bar, and she's just bright-eyed. Her hands are up. She's grinning. We caught eye contact, and I've actually got a picture of her where she caught eye contact with me, and I took it, and she was just, they were having a blast. So people don't know Amy. People don't know us. They were not there. So that is the reason we have not lost focus. There's been a lot of noise, a lot of opinions, a lot of things said. But unless you know Amy, unless you know us, unless you were there and watched every bit of it, you really don't have, I'd say, you don't really have the right to make blanket statements and push those things because, again, I go back to the truth.
Yeah, and you're obviously referring to many of the detractors that are out there on social media, and we've all seen them and heard them in some cases, unfortunately. But there's a large number of people that are very interested in Amy's story and very passionate about telling her story, getting her story out there, and helping you all to find answers. Is there anything you'd like to share with those people? Because there's some really great people that I've had the fortune to meet, and I'm sure they'd love to hear how much their advocacy on Amy's behalf you see and how much you appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The support we've received from people all over the world. I mean, I've gotten messages from 100+ different countries, full of love and prayers and hope, and just amazing. I mean, it's been one of the single most heartening things I've experienced in my life. How much people around the world have cared and participated in trying to help us. It means more than we can express in words, to all of us. Every person who shares Amy's story, listens to a podcast, watches the documentary or just talks about it, keeps her case alive. We're beyond grateful for everyone and anyone who's taken the time to learn about Amy and about her story, and those who support our search for answers. You know, the amount of compassion and is just it's hard to describe. It reminds us on the daily that we're not alone in this, as we have felt for a lot of years outside of family and friends, and it's been pretty special.
Well, it really has been special because all of the lovers and all of the compassionate people and all the kind people and all the tender people, that's what gets us up every day. All of the support, the hundreds of emails giving positive suggestions, sending prayers, telling us that they would do anything that they could to help. Those are the people that have blessed our lives with keeping us positive and keeping us focused. So I thank each and every one of those people. We just had a Amy event on the 30th here in Chesterfield. I'm told that approximately 200 people came and went. And it was a day of hugs and loves and stories from people we haven't seen in a long time to people that have traveled out of state. And they all came together to bolster their support that they've always given us. So, yeah, those are the people that are important in our lives. And they're all looking forward to that big day and that big party when we all get back together, when we get Amy.
Yeah. And, one of the things that's really interesting is I've gotten to know you guys and gotten to know Amy's story better. Is I do think about that. I think about that day when that day comes because I believe it will come. But, we don't know when that day will happen. We don't know if that's next week. We hope. We don't know if it's a year from now, 3 years from now. But I'm confident that it can happen. In the meantime, this is something that I think is really important. And I want to give each of you an opportunity to speak. My hope is that Amy hears something of this, hears you guys, sees how much you put into finding her and bringing her home. Would you each take a minute and just let Amy know what you want her to hear if she hears this?
I would just tell Amy that, first of all, we love her. She's been in our thoughts for 28 years. We can't wait to get her back and see her again. I don't know what type of circumstances that you've been through, but you're strong and you can fight. And we look forward to helping you in that situation when we get to you.
And I don't go ahead, Brian.
You, Mama, go ahead.
I carried Amy under my heart for 9 months. She was born on Mother's Day. So, Amy, Father's Day is coming up next Sunday. And we get up every morning and we say, maybe today. And then when we go to bed at night, we have a special kiss for you. And we say, maybe tomorrow. And we want you to know that we are proud of you. We love you. We are here for you. And I really do feel like that when we do get a hold of you again, 90% of all of the bad will be washed away because of all the love and all the excitement. So God bless you. Stay strong. And we are here waiting for you with open arms. We love you, Amy.
Yeah, just like Mom and Dad said, we've never stopped loving you. We've never stopped missing you. And we've never stopped searching for you, not even for a day. And we carry you with us in everything we do. No matter how much time has passed, you've always been a part of our family. You always will be. We will absolutely never stop looking for answers until we find the truth. We love you, we miss you, and we will never, ever give up on you.
Amen.
Well, I don't really think that there's anything that I can add to that. I think that's exactly the way this episode in this series should end, with your own words directed at her. So with that, I am thankful to each and every person that's taken the time to listen to this series. I am appreciative of Ron, Iva, and Brad giving me the opportunity to help tell Amy's story. And as I shared with them, we know there's going to be new information, and we know deep down in our hearts there will be exciting news at some point in the future when all of the answers are found and Amy comes home, and I will be happy to help in any way I can to tell that story. If you have information about Amy Bradley's disappearance, contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit a tip at tips.fbi.gov. Tips can be submitted anonymously, and the reward is now $100,000. For more on Amy and the family's ongoing search, visit amybradleyismissing.com. Also, go and sign the Amy Alerts petition. And remember, during the full run of this series, 100% of Invisaware commissions go directly to the Bradley family's GoFundMe. Links for all of those websites are in the show notes. One more thing. This series has been 6 months of work, a lot of it. The research, the interviews, the sourcing, the production. If it has meant something to you, there is now a way to support it directly. The Midnight Mystery Archive has launched on Patreon. There are 3 tiers starting at $5 a month. What you get is early access to episodes, case notes, behind-the-scenes production notes, research insights, and an early glimpse at upcoming episodes and series. And you never know, maybe some cool merch and a call-out. The link is in the show notes. If the series has been worth your time, and I believe that it has because many of you have told me so, it would mean a great deal to know it's worth $5 a month. Echo 1953, the first book in the Hollis Files mystery series, launches July 27, 2026. It is available for pre-order on Amazon now. A link is in the show notes. Follow the Midnight Mystery Archive on X or join our official Facebook group. In addition to that, a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify goes a long way in growing our audience and bringing new ears to the cases we cover.